The gaming industry is in a somewhat precarious position right now, in no small part thanks to EA's royal screw-up with Star Wars Battlefront 2, which stretched the envelope of scummy monetization tactics to breaking point. The backlash was severe enough that even the government has started to pay attention, and we have already seen a number of bills being introduced to that effect. And unlike the nonsensical issues that the government came up with to scapegoat blame, like how violent video games are supposedly the cause of mass shootings and the like, the issue of predatory loot boxes in games is one that started with the uprising of disillusioned gamers who are adamant about supporting anything that will get these glorified gambling mechanisms out of our games during a time when the gaming industry is adamant about exploiting its consumers. Which is why the back and forth throughout the past couple of months between the gaming industry and the government is something that a lot of people have been paying special close attention to. Now, one interesting development that happened 5 days ago on April 4th, 2018, was that Bungie, the presently disgraced studio that developed the highly disappointing Destiny 2, got a visit from the government. The following information comes from the official Twitter account of Washington State Governor Jay Inslee, who posted various photos of him at the studio alongside the message, "I'm not sure whether Governor outranks fallen captain, but I want to thank Bungie for having me in today. They are one of the state's leaders in the gaming industry." The nature of the visit is a complete mystery, but I find the timing of this unusual visit rather interesting considering the current landscape of the gaming industry. Not to mention that someone in high political position like governor taking a direct and personal interest in video games isn't a frequent occurrence. I'm not trying to imply that Governor Inslee marched into Bungie headquarters to make threats that they need to shut down Eververse Marketplace if they don't want to face the full brunt of the government or anything silly like that. Judging by the photos, the visit seems to have been friendly and educational even. It seems to me as though Governor Jay Inslee is going out of his way to learn a bit more about the ins and outs of what goes into making video games and get a feel for an industry that the government hasn't been able to keep up with due to its rapid growth and evolution. And if you ask me, that's a good thing. I do think that a significant sector of the government is woefully misinformed and ignorant about video games and its ever-evolving nature, so it's nice to see people in high places going out of their way to see things from multiple perspectives. This is especially important when you consider that the gaming industry has recently drawn the attention of the government with the issue of loot boxes. I know some people are apprehensive about the government getting involved, and I certainly understand why, but frankly, I think the gaming industry brought this on themselves. Ideally, I'd love nothing more than for the gaming industry to snap out of their greedy stupor and regulate itself, but we are seeing no signs that they're willing to take this issue or universal feedback from consumers seriously. Sure, we might be making some progress in that loot box stigmatization is at an all-time high, and we're seeing more and more developers pull away from these practices, like Warner Brothers game Shadow of War, as well as EA Star Wars Battlefront 2 to name a few. But the likes of Activision are still running amok and profiting handsomely from loot boxes via Call of Duty World War II, among many others, and we have seen the ESA and the ESRB be complacent by choosing to be willfully ignorant and insist that loot boxes don't constitute as gambling, that they aren't harmful in any way, that they're a fun way to acquire in-game items, all while introducing useless new guidelines that do absolutely nothing to mitigate the problem. So as long as the gaming industry continues to remain stubborn, they'll continue to draw ire from the gaming community, and that'll only give the government more ammo to work with. And if this is indeed the path we're headed towards, if the gaming industry will continue to be irresponsible, should push come to shove, and the government become involved, I would prefer that legislators like Governor Inslee take an educated approach. Now, I can relate to the sentiment that you can trust politicians as far as you can throw them, but if it's any consolation, Governor Inslee did recently sign House Bill 2282 into law, which protects net neutrality in Washington state when the federal government is trying to repeal it. This makes Washington the first state in the nation to pass law protecting net neutrality, so that's pretty remarkable. Not to mention that Washington has probably been the most proactive state in the push for potential regulation and neutralization of predatory practices in video games. Earlier this year, we saw Washington State Senator Kevin Ranker introduce a new bill stipulating that the mechanism of loot boxes be investigated for potential regulation, with a deliberation being being set for December 2018. And most recently, we saw the free-to-play simulated casino game Big Fish Casino, which allows players to pay for virtual chips needed to participate in chance-based activities, be ruled as illegal under Washington state law. Thus far, everything we have seen from Washington state in terms of their push for consumer protection has been sensible, and the strong stance on protecting net neutrality is a big plus. And now, with Governor Inslee going out of his way to understand what goes on behind the scenes in game studios like Bungie, I get the sense that there is some serious effort from the state of Washington to learn as much as possible and stay updated on the various facets of the gaming industry. Obviously, this is all speculation on my part, though. I don't know for sure if Governor Inslee's visit yielded anything substantial, but I would say that if there was a time for the government to try and get a better understanding of video games, now is as good a time as any. And this is just me, but considering all that's happened, I would imagine that at least some of the discussion revolved around loot boxes, especially when Bungie's own Destiny 2 has come under heavy fire in the last couple months for its heavy focus on such monetization schemes. But mainly, I hope that the two parties got something out of the visit, and hopefully it can contribute to positive changes moving forward. These are just one man's thoughts and opinions anyway. I'd love to hear what your take is on all of this in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content, consider supporting me on Patreon. It is completely optional, but donating even as little as $1 a month will go a long way in helping this channel grow. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.